Hi everyone, this is Mr. Trio. This video makes up the conclusion for the core topic, were the peace treaties of 1919 to 23 fair? As a reminder, there were 4 focus points connected to this topic. What were the aims and motives of the Big Three at Versailles? Why did all the victors not get all that they wanted? What was the impact of the peace treaties on Germany up to 1923? And then finally, could the treaties be justified at the time? Now, in order to take these 4 focus points and just think about them in a broad way, what I would like you to first begin to think about is, what is the meaning of fair? And in our first video, we talked a great deal about what would a reasonable person consider to be fair when it comes to the treaty process. Focus points also are about personalities, how the personalities of each of the Big Three members helps to reflect how the treaty was shaped. Also, why did they not get all what they wanted? It has a lot to do with compromise, the give and take process. What was the impact on Germany? One of the big areas is guilt, the psychological and the economic impact. And then the fourth and final focus point is, could the treaties be justified at the time? So what we need to do is look at the treaties not from today's perspective looking backwards, but instead looking at it from 1919 forward. Could they be justified at the time that they were created? Now, let's get into the main areas that we need to focus on for the peace treaties topic. Describe the personality of the Big Three. As a reminder, the Big Three are Woodrow Wilson, David Lloyd George, and George Clemenceau. And what I would like everyone to strive to do is, number 1, try to identify which country each of these 3 people comes from, what was their title, and what was the key description. So for example, Woodrow Wilson, he was from the United States, he was the president, and by all accounts, he would be regarded as an idealist. And that was his personality that he brought to the negotiating table. Also, what were the main terms of the Treaty of Versailles? And this breaks down to basically war guilt clause, reparations, and the League of Nations. What I'd like you to focus on for this area is, what was the term and which person was connected to that term. So once again, who wanted the war guilt clause? That was the French Prime Minister, Clemenceau. Who wanted the League of Nations? President Wilson from the United States. So try to make the connection of the clause to the person. Why did the victors not get all that they wanted? It has to do with compromise, of course. Try to think about it from the table, which is in our textbook, thinking about the country, what was positive about the treaty, and what was the negative feature. Remember, the focus is mainly on the United States, Great Britain, and France. Match clauses of the treaty and why Germans were upset. Here, talk about the cause and the consequence. So for example, if we were to look at the war guilt clause, Germany has to take blame for the war. The consequence, a generation of Germans blame the Treaty of Versailles for their problems. Now, each of these different clauses of the Treaty of Versailles has a very similar cause and consequence. So familiarize yourself with each of them. Could the treaties be justified at the time? Now, this is a very open-ended kind of question, and you could certainly take either side. But the main thing is that you need to find evidence that supports the justification or evidence that does not support the justification. When creating opinion-based questions, try to be solid. Don't be wishy-washy somewhere in the middle. Try to go with one point of view and then try to support it. Here are some key vocabulary words to think about for this unit: the Versailles Settlement, reparations, self-determination, 14 points, demilitarized, plebiscite, and dictate. By using key vocabulary words in your arguments, this will help to make a stronger argument for your case. And then finally, here at the end of this short video, what I like to do is provide some sample questions that may appear on paper number 1 for you. As a reminder, paper number 1 presents questions in an ABC format. So you will essentially be asked to answer questions related to the peace treaties at different levels. A, very simple; B, a little bit more complex; and then C is the most difficult questions, which are based on the opinions that you have formed over this particular unit. Question A, for example, is a simple, straightforward question, which is, what was the state about Danzig and the Rhineland as it relates to the Treaty of Versailles? Question B is, why were the victors not free to make the peace that they wanted? And then this is asking you to really think about that compromise process that is taking place between the big three. What did President Wilson want, and what did he have to compromise in order to get it? That kind of approach. Question C, at the time the Treaty of Versailles was justifiable, how far do you agree with this statement? Explain your answer. So essentially, in this opinion-based question, you would need to make a clear argument and then support it with facts. We'll be working on this a lot in class, but these questions are to essentially get you started. All right, so that's the conclusion for Were the Peace Treaties in 1919 to 1923 fair? Once again, we'll have lots of discussions in class about this, and we'll take each of the focus points one by one. But in many ways, this conclusion is simply to help you get focused in the right direction for the different topics. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around in class.